Hey guys, hello everyone. My name is Emily, as you may or may not know, and today, if you can't tell by the title, I actually don't know what the title is going to be. Obviously something clickbaity and dramatic. Today is a yapping video. But I was thinking, I was like, you know what? I have not shoved you guys into the bathroom and forced you to be in close quarters with me in a place that's made for pissing and shitting. So we're gonna do that for the beginning of today. And then I think I'm gonna have my stir-fry leftovers in my kitchen that I'm afraid to be in because of the mice, the very active and rambunctious, mind you, mice that I have in my apartment. And I might also just try on some clothes and show you guys some like cute outfits for to express myself fashion-wise. So I started doing a new makeup routine and I've gotten a few comments, which, hey, that's enough for me. A few comments saying, Emily, you're glowing lately, or you look more radiant than usual. It might be because of the makeup. Anyways, the first thing that I want to say, first let me do this. I'm going to put on a rose water toner from Joe, that fucking trader, right? Trader Joe's. Right. Okay, first thing that I want to talk about, I know that this is kind of like not super timely, but I want to talk about Wicked. First of all, I'm speaking as someone who loves Wicked so fucking much. Wicked changed the trajectory of my life, and I truly mean that. I remember when I was younger, and I came to New York with my family for the first time, and I sat down at that intermission after, you know, Elphaba does her big one, right? I was stunned. I was absolutely speechless, stunned. And from that moment on, I said to myself, God, I wish that were me. Of course, I don't think I have the vocal ability to ever play Elphaba, ever. But, you know, it made me really want to be an actor, basically, is what I'm saying. Moisturizer. I just realized I'm putting it on like a man. You know, when they like, when men put on moisturizer and it's kind of like they're, they almost act like they're sanding off like a wooden piece of furniture, you know? Oh, and then I also have to put extra moisturizer under my eye so my concealer doesn't flake up. I guess I have like really dry skin under my eyes, so it gets all flaky and peely and not very like nice looking. But basically, Elphaba, Galinda, love you girls down, right? They are like obviously one of the most like iconic friendships. At the same time, if I were Elphaba, would I want to be Galinda's friend? Probably not, right? I think that Elphaba and Galinda are sort of, you know, Galinda strikes me as someone who's like, why can't we just put our political differences aside and, you know, we can all just like be friends and sing Kumbaya. Then Elphaba's sort of like, right, well, I don't want to like, you know, side with the oppressor. Galinda is someone who very much so would have been posting a black square on Instagram while Elphaba would have been like doing actual activism. Do you know what I mean? And so it got me thinking, and this is obviously very surface level. Everyone knows that Galinda is like not really the best person. Really thinking about it from Elphaba's point of view, first of all, you know that the wizard High is not real. It's literally just some, you know, hunky-dory man who is like just able to pull levers and control a huge animatronic that looks like it should be at Universal Studios, right? Hey, and technically it was at Universal Studios. You know he's fake as fuck. You know he's being disingenuous as fuck. Mr. Bach, what the fuck, right? And you're still trying to be, you know, goody-goody with him because you want power, blah, blah, blah. All of that is clear. And here's the thing. This is also clear, but I'm like, okay, it's really just an amazing thing that Elphaba was able to sort of get over this. Glinda killed her sister. Like, she didn't, but I think that in my grief over my sister, or perhaps Elphaba, you know, she loved her sister, but her sister was also quite a bitch to her. So maybe the grief was like about, maybe I'm picturing the grief to be about here, when really it's more like around here, right? But, okay, if we're weighing out the sins, Glinda inadvertently, it's not her fault, but Glinda inadvertently got Elphaba's sister killed, right? Elphaba stole her man. all of that over a man. And then the part in For Good where Glinda goes, well then I guess we know there's blame to share, right? Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say so, right? I don't know if I could really put all that stuff to just be sort of water under the bridge. It's not water under the bridge. It's my sister under a house. Okay, turning my back to you for a moment because I'm putting on this like serum concealer thing from Typology. It's great. I really like it. Like, I don't know. Obviously, I know it was not Galinda's intention for anyone to actually get hurt. But if I found out that, you know, my frenemy was like, I didn't kill your sister, I didn't, physically do it myself, I just kind of was like, why don't we start a rumor that we killed your sister? And then Miss flipping around Wicked Witch took it upon herself to make that rumor a reality. Is that my fault? Rumor has it by Adele, rumor has it that I actually might be a little bit more innocent than you think. However, if I were Elphaba, I've already had a pretty hard fucking life. I don't know if I'm really looking to hear your excuses. Speaking of Elphaba having a hard fucking life, I'm realizing if you don't give a fuck about Wicked, you might feel inclined to skip this entire part. But Elphaba having a hard life, her sister, Nessa girl, obviously things have not been easy for you either. What I will say, it's not exactly the best woman in power representation, is it? Because the whole thing about women being in power is people saying, oh, they're too emotional. What happens if they, have a bad day and it's like the week before their period and they start a war, right? Obviously that wouldn't happen, but Nessa, you were getting pretty close. Right? I even need to put my concealer down for this. Nessa, beloved, you are having a failed situationship with somebody. Then you decide to create an apartheid state because Bach doesn't want to fuck you, right? He's too busy thinking about Galinda and her perfect blonde hair. If, Nessa existed in our world, or if alpha male podcasters existed in Oz, you would be giving them so much ammo to be like, and rightfully so in a way, right? To say, hey, look at this woman. This is proof that, this woman can't lead because the estrogen is seeping into the sulci of her brain and literally made her sanction travel on an entire people because she's not getting the, Bach validation that she needs. That'd be like if, okay, say I'm living in Chinatown, right? And I'm having this like situationship with a Danish guy, and when things don't work out, I'm not really interested so much in the Danish guy. I want to date like another Asian guy, right? He then says, okay, and for some reason he has power in this situation. He then says, okay, well then all Chinese people are not allowed to leave this Haiti. Hello? And then all the other, maybe, the Munchkins. And also, yeah, the Munchkins I wonder if they're like in the dark about all of this. Like, hi, why all of a sudden we can't leave anymore? And then little do they know, it's because like, maybe they would even try and just execute Bach and get him out of the equation. So then they can be like, okay, well, there's obviously no more situationship to be had. Can I go to, Sephora now? Anyways, I think I talked about Wicked enough because if you don't care about Wicked, you probably don't want to hear it anymore. I'm gonna put on concealer now. It's a different type of concealer than the one before. Your girl has quite the under eye bag, so I have to layer up. Okay, I'm sorry. Last thing about Wicked, and then I swear to God I will be changed for the better, right? I read a comment of someone talking about the Wicked movie, and they said, I wish they didn't focus on the animals so much. Baby, that's the whole point. That's like you watching Inside Out and saying, I wish they, kind of shifted the focus away from the emotions a little bit. Anyways, next thing. God, what is my next step? Guys, I've started contouring. I really have never, All of the makeup that I used to do, it was literally concealer and eyeliner, and that's it. But I've started doing more and have discovered that I look better afterward. Turning my back to you guys again. Better not stab it. Right. And I also put my contour on my eye. I don't know if you're supposed to do that because I did buy an eyeshadow palette, so I actually don't really know why I've been doing that, but it is what I've been doing. Okay, I'm gonna try and do my pinkish under eye tone in the camera. Sorry, is that not appealing? Sorry, I'm about to get close. Something I was thinking about, right? This is not something that I wrote down, but something that I was just crossed my mind. I saw a stand-up clip of Kumail Nanjiani, and he was talking about how when he like bulked up and got really in shape for the Eternals from Marvel, that the reaction was actually really kind of almost negative in the way that, remember when David Dobrik got really buff and everyone was like, I feel like, I'm watching an elephant stand on 2 feet. Something just, it seems like unnatural, right? And I was just thinking about how it would feel to get insanely in shape. Do you know how much like work it takes to get in shape like that? And then like you spend months and months not only working out, but just like eating the blandest fucking shit where it's like, I might as well just soak cardboard in water and chew on that. You know what I mean? It's not like a happy, okay, it depends. Maybe for some people, looking sexy is the happy part, but for me, I like enjoy living my life and like eating food that tastes good, right? But to go through all of those trials and tribulations to obtain your peak physical physique, and then the reaction is, what the fuck?
There's no reason for me to be buff anymore, but I am because fuck you.
Oh my god, I'd be sick. I would literally be sick. That'd be like if it really wouldn't be like that at all, but say if I became like a K-pop idol, right? And, I had the full K-pop idol surgery bust down, right? Shaved jaw, sharper nose, bleached my skin, double eyelid surgery, lip reduction surgery. I don't know. No, actually some K-pop idols, they like bigger lips now. But if I went through all of that and then I said, ta-da! And all of the comments were like, what the fuck? Someone call the government because an alien has escaped from Area 51, right? Like, good lord. And here's the thing. It's not that I understand because I guess I'm just like not really thinking about people's bodies, to be honest. But it is, if you're used to seeing someone a certain way, like for years and years and years, especially if they're like on screen, right? And it's like certain versions of themselves are immortalized. And then all of a sudden they walk into a club with a full 12-pack bust down, biceps larger than, the fucking boulders. Yeah, it might be a little bit, so you look like this now. And that's not a bad thing, but it's going to take me a little bit to like adjust. But yeah, I don't know. I think it sucks to have your appearance be commented on all the time. I was listening to Caleb Kieran's podcast and Camille was saying that he would always get like people commenting like handsome Squidward gifs on his posts and stuff like that. And I know if I were in his place and I were getting like harassed with the same like joke every single time I post a picture of myself, at that point, I cannot go within a 3-mile radius of the Nickelodeon studio or something very, very animalistic is going to happen. I walk into the Nickelodeon studio, I see a picture of Squidward, I black out, and then when I come back to consciousness, all of a sudden all the tables are flipped over. Anyways, eyeliner now, and I'm kind of realizing I did put makeup on, but I kind of maybe don't look that different. Isn't that something? The thing about when I do eyeliner is that sometimes it's almost never symmetrical. And of course I do that on purpose because I want to treat each eye like a snowflake in the sense that they are unique of each other, right? Anyways, Something else I wrote down. Sorry, I wanted to write something else that I wrote down, but I still had up Kumail Nanjiani. This is just crazy. This is crazy. It's so impressive. Not crazy in the way of like, oh, that's crazy. Like he looks, da da da. Crazy in the way of, bro, how did you do that? I'm trying to have that discipline, seriously. This is the Milk Makeup Cooling Water Jelly Tint. I love this stuff, guys. I got this, sorry, I'm about to have an influencer moment. I got this for free because I went to, they invited me to see John Proctor is the Villain, with a comp ticket, because they announced, it was right when Sadie Sink left, so they were announcing like the new cast, and God, that play was so good. I fucking love that play. I want to be in a play. I want to be in a play. But anyways, so Milk Jelly Tint, Cooling Water Jelly Tint. Very nice. I'm going to put it on as blush. Okay, I don't know if it's reading that well on screen, but I can see it when I look in the mirror. So anyways, sometimes when I'm drinking a Dasani water, I'm like, why is this thick like a diluted syrup, right? Some people say that water is just water, all water tastes the same. I'm getting on my knees and begging to fucking differ, okay? Because last night I went to a friend's show and you know how sometimes, and this is my mistake because I should really just know better by now, but when the waiter asks you sparkling or still, I said still because I kind of thought that meant tap and that it was going to be free. Lo and behold, of course, they bring it in this full fancy ass bottle and I'm like, okay, and this is gonna cost about $7. And that's where I was wrong because it was actually $6. High discount for water. But it was really good. Putting on highlighter real quick. Okay, before I get back to the water, how do I look? Do I have a certain luminance about me? Comment down below if there is a luminance about me. If there is not, then comment there is a lack of luminance. Anyways, so when I get a Dasani water bottle from, I don't know, like the corner store or the bodega or whatever, when I'm drinking it, I'm not thinking to myself, God, this is low quality. But when I get really good water, the type of water that, you know, even like a Fiji, right? I'm like, yeah. The best water that I've ever had, and I don't know if this is bad or, I mean, I didn't get sick, but when I went to the Netherlands, when I went to New Zealand and we were on this hike, right? And there was this stream that runs down a mountain and it is glacial water, and I took the tour guide's word for it, right? She said that the way that it runs down the mountain, that it is like filtered by the time that it gets down to this stream, and that it's like water at its purest form. And I was a little scared to drink it just because we had a couple hours left of that hike, okay? So if I drank bad water and all of a sudden, you know, the glacial water isn't the only thing running down a surface, right? Diarrhea. I'm trying to make a joke about diarrhea, right? I was hesitant, but my friend drank it. She literally just took her hydro flask, and this is what the tour guide told us to do, took her hydro flask, and we don't need that anymore, and dipped it in to the stream and just started drinking from it. And I was like, I want some. And I didn't have my own water bottle. Let's just say I'm not the most nature-y, hikey person. And so I tapped my friend on the shoulder and I said, can I have a sip of that? Can I have a sip of that? And thank God I did. Thank God I did, because it was the best water I've ever had in my life. You take a sip of New Zealand naturally filtered glacial water. Yeah, let's just say the next time that you're taking a sip of Deer Park, it might not be hitting the same. It's sort of like, I don't know, it's that feeling of, so what is something comparable? I guess you could say tasting the different qualities of the water is similar to having sex with and without a condom. Because people always say that if you do it with, it doesn't like feel as good. I don't know. Because I always have it unprotected. Technically, I'm done with the bathroom, but I kind of like recording in here, so maybe we can stay in here for a little bit. I'm literally just sitting on top of the toilet, seat down, mind you, I'm not an animal, and we can have a conversation like we're drunk in a bathroom club, right? What's the next thing I wrote down? Let's see. Somewhere there is a student drawing a realistic eye on their homework. Just know I was once in your shoes. If there is anything that anyone with any sort of interest in art has ever done, it is drawing a singular realistic eye on a piece of, academic work. Sitting there on the SAT, trying to get the light, in the pupil just right. I feel like when I was younger, I used to, how when people can sing, they kind of try and make it known in passing ways. Maybe you're watching a horror movie together, jump scare comes out, ah, right? Huh, so what was that? Anyways, and for me, it would be, say we're, doing a group project or something like that, or we're passing around, this is what it would be. We're, switching papers with our student peers, our academic peers, so that we can like check their work or grade their stuff, right? Oh, I had to put a realistic eye on there. I did. Lashes and all, right? Because when I pass off my Picasso to the other person, I need to make it known. Hi, by the way, I also draw. When I hand in my essay to the teacher, that I did a, still life drawing of her when she was eating apples at her desk. I hand in my essay, all of a sudden, why is there a nude still life of me? I was never naked in front of you. And that's when I would say, yeah, well, I would hope not. You're my teacher. And then she would say, and why? So yes, I am your teacher. Why did you draw me nude? That's when I would say, well, I'm an artist. Another thing I have written down, when you store things under your bed, it's likely that the next time you see it is when you move again, right? Moving can really, you will never realize how much shit you have until you're moving. When I moved to New York, I really only moved what was in my room, like my bedroom, and what was in my bathroom. That's it. And somehow I felt like I was like, should I have an estate sale? I have so much stuff. And most of it, of course, is clothes. I mean, you've seen the mountain of purses on my wall. Yeah, let's just say, besides art, I'm also a little bit into fashion. And is that a crime? I don't think so. But it does make moving quite hard. And I even tried to downsize before I moved, and it was still a whole thing. When I was cleaning out my place, like to downsize, I was coming across things that I was like, do I have amnesia or something? Because how did this even get in here? I was finding things from like from ex-situationships. I was finding things like finding random, Bath and Body Works gift card, just random stuff. I guess that's why you have to do spring cleaning, huh? And I guess that's why you should probably keep track of all of your things and slowly get rid of things throughout the year instead of just doing a max exodus when you move. Oh, okay, so if I ever had a boyfriend, or let me reword that. If you have a boyfriend, these are things that you can say to his neener, right? Engorged Clooney, and while he has a boner. Engorged Clooney, hang on, I'm finding it. Engorged Clooney, Engorged Washington, Engorgiana Grande, King Engorged the Third. Regina Engorged. Sometimes I wonder for people with penises or people who come into contact with penises, is it ever just like a little bit funny? And I guess because I have dealt with a lot of penises in like a healthcare medical sense, and then I didn't think it was funny because it's like my job, you know what I mean? And also the last thing you want to do to someone to a patient that you have who is obviously in a vulnerable state in the hospital is laugh at their body, right? Jesus. But you would actually be surprised because medical staff, actually, maybe you wouldn't be surprised, people talk about it all the time, medical staff can be pretty fucking mean. And there's been times where it's like, you need to check your coworkers because it's like, why are we... Don't make a fat joke about your patient. I genuinely think... I'm not even going to get into it, but whatever. Do you ever look at a penis and just think like, wow, this thing is like really all up in my grill, right? Or if you are the owner of it, it can't really be all up in your grill unless you're really flexible or extremely well endowed. I just feel like it just reminds me so much of like a lever or kind of like a door stopper where you would go, oh, idea, that just reminded me. What if we made a human door stopper? What if we made a human door stopper and it was just a guy who like stands in the corner of the room and he kind of just like has to be erect at all times so that he can stop the door? Should I bring that to Shark Tank? I also had an idea for a human bidet where it's just the same kind of idea. It's just a guy kind of hanging around the toilet and he just like has a hose and just waits for you to be done. The next thing that I wrote down, oh, the church bread that are like little circles look like they are made perfectly for Lunchables. Has the church ever thought about something like that? Listen, I'm not very religious, so I don't know if those things are supposed to be eaten like a certain way. Like perhaps it would be considered quite unholy to pair it with like highly processed, perfectly circular salami crackers and like a juice box that somehow has 55 grams of sugar. Maybe that is blasphemous. But at the same time, I mean, the church seems to really care about money. That's an area where you can make money. Then maybe you wouldn't have to ask everyone for it. But honestly, I don't know. I do imagine if you tried to commodify or commercialize the circular things. Also, by the way, sorry, I'm not trying to be just disrespectful to anyone's religion. I'm just brainstorming, right? If you take those circular things and what if you put them in Lunchables, you create like a cereal with them and you call them Holy O's, right? What else could you do with them? You could have them be at like a fancy sort of, Christian? That's Christian, right? Or Catholic, something like that. They believe in Jesus. Jesus-themed diner. A Jesus-themed diner. And you get the little wafer things as sort of like the free bread basket in the beginning. I wonder, let me Google why people eat those. People eat the circular bread communion wafers in church as a central part of Christian worship, symbolizing and remembering Jesus Christ's body and sacrifice based on his instructions at the Last Supper. I wonder what he said. The Last Supper. That I'm not religious basically at all. The extent of my knowledge of religion, Eve ate that goddamn apple. The snake told her to do it, and the snake is the devil, I'm assuming, right? And then Adam, something about ribs. Adam had some baby back ribs. He got baby back ribs at Chili's. No, Eve came from Adam's rib. And that's why a lot of religious people, I don't know. I feel like I've heard that argument for like, people saying that women are not as good as men. Like, hi, you literally came from my rib, babe. First of all, that wasn't you, Brad. That was Adam. And he existed a long time ago, whatever, in terms of the Bible. And then I know Samson. I know this because of a Regina Spektor song. Samson went off to bed and then he cut his head or cut hair off his head, and that's where his powers come from. Noah's Ark, all aboard! Literally, we're getting everybody in that goddamn ark. And I think that's where it stops. And then I know there was a pair of brothers. They did not get along. One killed the other with a rock. Right? Anyways. Sorry, I completely went off track. So it's supposed to represent spiritual nourishment and his sacrificial love for believers. Okay, So when people are eating those circles, it's supposed to resemble Jesus's body. So I don't think religious people would actually like the commercialization of it, right? Because Jesus's body, that should probably be saved for like a holy space, not like a diner off of I-95. But I don't know. But then you get these mega churches who they're doing a whole theatrical Broadway show bust down. That doesn't seem particularly, I mean, maybe Jesus would like it. He could be a supporter of the arts, I'm sure. But I don't know. Commercialization in the church kind of are not separate from each other in certain ways. I mean, I used to go to church when I was younger, and it wasn't like a mega church or anything like that. It was very much so just like a guy standing up there and being like, so what have you thought about today? Or whatever it is that they said. And sometimes it would be quite moving. Sometimes, it could be quite inspirational. But then these mega churches, they're doing it's like beyond a TED Talk. It is beyond off-Broadway. It is like they're competing for the Tonys in heaven, right? They are, oh my God, all of us are trying to be Audra McDonald in heaven. And it's like, what are we thinking here? That once we get to the upstairs, that God is going to be like, he has the most orchestra seats possible being so high up there, right? I saw the work that you did on, the Noah's Ark play that you put on, and I just gotta say it was, incredible work. You really got down his dialect. But yeah, maybe scratch the whole communion wafers Lunchables thing. I don't think that's actually a good idea. I mostly said it as a joke, so as if that was not obvious. Anyways, I saw a quote that said, if you got rid of men, what's scary about nighttime? And let's just sit with that for a second. If men didn't exist, I feel like I could literally almost do whatever I want. So much of my day-to-day cautiousness, so much of my day-to-day anxiety, the reasons why I feel like I have to be home at a certain time or I want to, do something before it gets dark is literally because of men. I have never thought to myself like, and I mean, it's entirely possible, of course. I've been, harassed by, women who are having, they aren't, mentally stable, right? Those things do happen. But 99% of the time when I have been harmed in public, it's been because of men. It's been because of men. I have a story to tell, actually. I was on the subway, and it was, dark, but it was winter, so it was literally 5 p.m., but it feels like it's dead midnight. And this guy, when you've been living in the city for a long time, you kind of just have a little bit of a sixth sense. And this guy was approaching my area, my vicinity, and sat down in front of me. And I could feel his eyes. He was staring me down. And I had my earbuds in, but I paused my music so that I could, just be aware. And he started saying to me, looking straight at me, I bet you like white huh? Yeah, you like white you and just started saying like really inappropriate things that I probably like shouldn't say. But basically he was just like sexually harassing me in a way verbally. And mind you, I'm sitting here on my phone just pretending that he doesn't exist. I'm not acknowledging anything he's saying. I'm not looking at him. I'm not doing anything, right? And then he gets up. He gets up and he starts to walk towards me. Now he's standing right in front of me, looking down on me, and I'm still just ignoring him. And I don't know if it was the only reason why I think this was the right thing to do is because it ended up that he just left. Let me tell you, I was ignoring this man, and he literally, after, a couple minutes of him like harassing me, berating me, whatever, he saw I wasn't giving him any reaction, and then he literally goes, man, what the fuck? And then he just leaves. He said, he literally went, really? And he just went. I feel like that situation could have gone so many different directions. Thank God that me just ignoring him made him go away and like not giving him a response. He just like literally got bored. But that could have also gone another way where I was ignoring him and then he starts pulling out the whole 1-2 tap dancing, punching me in the face, trying to get my attention. And it's interesting because that man, obviously something clearly was not going on, you know, something was clearly going on. He's not in his right mind, but at the same time, he was, I don't know, he just seemed very intentional and coherent about what he was saying, and this like really isn't funny. But this is all to say, yes, if you got rid of men, and listen, some men, you know I love you. There's some men out there who are great. I love my dad, I love my friends. But maybe I should say if we got rid of the patriarchy, right? If we got rid of any system that was, you know, conveying the message that men should, you know, have the power, or that men should be entitled to women's bodies, all of that stuff. If we just got rid of that, I mean, it's one of the oldest systems ever. So if we went all the way back and we just got rid of that, maybe got rid of that whole thing, then maybe we could all live in harmony and it wouldn't be such a problem. Or maybe we would be committing violence against each other equally. I think I'm just gonna stay in here. I know that I said I was gonna heat up my leftovers and try on different food and stuff, but try on different clothes, I meant. Try on different clothes, yeah. I know I said I was gonna try on different food. I was gonna, you know, smear different condiments all over my body. And I know some perverts out there would probably like that. But I think I'm just gonna stay in here. I kind of like these bathroom vibes. One of my first times at the gym, I almost tripped on the treadmill and I had to dramatically save myself. I was on some Looney Tunes ass shit, and I'm proud of myself for showing my face in that establishment ever again. Oh my lord, I do remember this. I remember this, and perhaps it's me, my own fault. I don't know the strength of my own legs. I was running on the treadmill and I was kind of running faster than the speed that it was set at. And so my foot kind of like clipped the front end of the treadmill, and I did almost trip. And it was one of those things where I also, not only did I almost trip, I out loud said, "Oh shit!" Which of course drawed more attention to it. But thank God for the other patrons in the gym, because here's the thing, and this maybe goes for any public space, when you trip, when you spit, when you anything like that, it's almost common courtesy to kind of just pretend like that didn't happen, right? I'm glad that no one came up to me and was asking me like, "Oh, are you okay?" Or like, or went, "Ooh," or like things like that. Because when I fall in a public place, I need everyone to A, act like they have horse blinders on and just didn't see what they just saw, or B, act like falling dramatically is a very normal thing of everyday life. Oh, every 5 steps someone is falling dramatically. Who gives a fuck? Another time that I tripped very dramatically, and this was like a full bust down, you know, I am on the ground type fall. I was going to a Dreamcatcher concert. This was a while ago. And I was wearing these jeans. Wait, I don't know if I can show. Wait, I was wearing these jeans. So you see, they're very wide-legged, right? They're very wide. This is like the type of jeans that, I don't know. Oh my God, they're dirty. It's the type of jeans where, I don't know, I could smuggle something up there if I wanted to. I won't, because I'm a law-abiding citizen. But for law enforcement out there, just know if I wanted to, I could. And I like kind of skipped in a way, and it's my fault for being theatrical. I kind of skipped onto the curb in a way, and my foot got caught in the extra fabric of my jeans, and I fell. I fell boots the house down on Nessa, right? What does that mean? I don't fucking know. Yeah, I fell, and it was a moment where I kind of did capture the attention of a lot of people. And to top it all off, I was with myself. So I didn't have a friend to sort of laugh about it with. I was at the venue all by myself. And I ate shit. I had to get out the fork and knife, pound on the table, and eat shit. Oh, sapphics on TikTok are so funny because they'll see a femme in a snapback and a t-shirt and be like, "Okay, butch." I see this a lot in like the K-pop community where, you know, say there's like a K-pop idol who looks like me or is on the same level of femininity as me, and they just like put on a tie, then it's, hi, Butch. How are you doing, Butch? Right? We take her down to the butcher shop. That's where she belongs. And now talking about this, it's got me thinking, whenever I dress up more mask, I feel like I'm cosplaying as a tomboy or something. I feel like when I was younger, when I was in college, I definitely vibed more with the whole, you know, trying to be a little bit more mask, being more like suave, you know, like I was trying to attract women, okay? God forbid. But now, God, I'm just such a femme. I'm so femme, flemme, right? I think when I was younger, the goal was attracting women, and then I stopped having that goal, right? Then the goal kind of became, I just want to be myself. Okay, I have a row of 3 things here that I will read, and then we're going to be done, okay? There is something so special about playing the Wii with your cousins and making the ugliest me character fucking imaginable. When I was younger, me and my cousins, we would play on the Wii and, well, like I just said, make the ugliest Wii character fucking imaginable. And it's the same thing with The Sims. It's the same thing with The Sims. You have, you know, you make your family members, maybe you make like a famous person. I remember in my me catalog on the Wii console, I had like Selena Gomez and Demi Lovato because I was obsessed with them at one point. And then you have to make something akin to Frankenstein's monster that you can't even sympathize with because they're so ugly. You have to make a me character that is so ugly that it becomes a discourse talking point about beauty standards and the morality of it. You have to make a me so ugly that if you saw this person in real life, you would have to convince yourself that you were having sleep paralysis and this was a demon, okay? And then, of course, you have to give it a stupid name like Florb or Blob or probably Bob. Back then, Bob was... It's interesting. When I was growing up, when me and my cousins were all a similar age, when we were growing up, Bob was somewhat of a punchline within itself, right? Same thing with waffles, pancakes. There are certain words, beans, nothing but beans, right? There are certain words that just evoke a certain je ne sais quoi. Yeah, so you name the me Bob. And then when you see all the little me's running around in the me central, oh my gosh, some of you guys might not even know what I'm talking about. I'll have to find an insert if I can. But all the me's running around the me central, and then you find the ugly one sticking out like a sore thumb. Or if someone out there played Wii Sports, and you know when you're playing the tennis, and sometimes they zoom in on the audience and high challengers, you see the people going. And sometimes it's like random like NPC me's, but then other times, oh, and dear God, we love when this happens. You find the fugly one that you made, and they're sitting there in the crowd going like this, literally, you know, looking like a traffic cone in the middle of the road, sticking out. Speaking of challengers, they should make challengers into a Wii game. They should make a heated rivalry Nintendo Switch game. And let's just say that the controller, whatever button is used for thrust, it's gonna be pressed a lot. Okay, something else I wrote down. I feel like getting lung cancer from vaping rather than smoking cigarettes feels a little bit embarrassing for some reason. Electronic binky. Obviously, I sympathize with anyone who is, feeling the repercussions of any sort of oral addiction that they had. Oral addiction. That sounds like nymphomaniac, so let me reword that. Nicotine addiction that they had via oral consumption, right? But I don't know, guys. Call me judgmental. You can call me judgmental. There is just something about vaping that I just find embarrassing. It just looks lame. I don't know. It just looks lame. Why are you sucking on a USB? You know, put that hard drive away. And I don't know if the fact that it tastes good makes it more or less embarrassing, because it's like with smoking cigarettes, it's like you got lung cancer and it tastes like shit. But then with vaping, it's like, okay, so it tastes like cotton candy and you have lung cancer. You could have just ate cotton candy, you know? Or, you know, you're sucking on, you know, some mango coconut breeze. You could have just like smelled a deodorant instead, you know? Obviously there's the lack of the nicotine. You could have like, why don't you just chew nicotine gum and just sort of like walk through Yankee Candle? And it could be like a similar effect, right? I personally, I've never vaped. I have never smoked a cigarette, but you know what I have done? Okay, no, I did smoke herbal cigarettes for an acting role, which maybe some of you have seen. Omakase. Anyways, what I have smoked, oddly enough, is a cigar, right? Which is sort of, and when I say I smoked it, I mean I literally took one puff and was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Although it did taste good. It tasted like chocolate. Which is kind of funny, me saying that I've never vaped, I've never jeweled, I've never smoked a cigarette, but I have taken a puff of a cigar, right? That's like saying, you know, oh, I've never played with, you know, a Nerf gun or a BB gun, but I have held a bazooka. But now I'm thinking about vapes and their different flavors. I'm gonna Google what is the most abstract vape flavor. I wanna know. I would say, what is the most rare vape flavor? Ew. Sorry. Ugh, I don't like that. Okay, apparently there are savory vapes, garlic, roast chicken, crab legs, or pizza, bacon. Oh, no. Imagine bringing a vape to a party and you're like, hey, does anyone want to hit this? It's pot roast. Oh, no. I don't know why. Huh. Here's the thing. All of those foods that were listed, they do taste good. And I wonder why it is that the fruits and the more like the minty stuff is more normalized for vapes. I wonder if there's a timeline out there where, you know, the fruity minty stuff is not as marketable and people are getting vapes that are like, this vape is Jolly Bee's spaghetti. You know, we're sitting around the campfire passing around a buttered noodles vape. Huh. That is interesting. That's interesting. But I do think also, I'm sorry, garlic. You're going to make a vape out of. You make a vape flavor, and the flavor profiles are garlic, onion, and halitosis. Like, if I ever had the audacity to suck on a garlic, onion, honey barbecue flavored vape, I'm posting on my Instagram story, no one come within a 10-foot radius of me in my mouth for the next day and a half because I am enjoying my garlic flavored vape right now. And I'm sorry to everyone else who this may impact, but mommy needs her nicotine. And this is just how I'm getting it. Because sometimes when you are behind someone who's vaping, I am not gonna lie, sometimes I get a whiff of that cotton candy wonderland and I'm thinking, this is delicious. Not delicious enough for me to form an addiction, but it does smell good. You are standing behind someone who is sucking on a garlic onion vape. That is a form of biohazard. That's domestic terrorism. Okay, guys, here is the last thing, and it's around that time. Secret code time. Okay, secret code time. Why do I have this in the bathroom? I'll never tell. No, I don't like this. This is too plain. Secret code, purple sparkly hairbrush. Secret code is purple sparkly hairbrush. So comment that down below if you love me or if you hate me as well. Last thing that I have written down, let's see. Mind you, this is someone who has, I'm saying this as someone who has not seen Sex in the City. Honestly, there may be a Carrie Bradshaw in all of us. If you have ever jogged in a rush in the city, but you're jogging at a pace that could also just be a fast walk, or if you have ever been down bad for someone who doesn't seem to give a fuck about you, those seem to be the two main things that I've observed as someone who has not watched Sex in the City. The girls are always in a rush, or Carrie Bradshaw more specifically, always in a rush, and she really likes someone who seems to not care about her very much. And I will never forget when I saw the clip on TikTok of her standing at Mr. Big's apartment. He opens the door. She's standing there with a baton and top hat. And then this is actually what sent me into an oblivion.
Bonjour. Voilà le French hat, voilà le French fry.
What is all this?
Apologies to that person. I'm not sure who that person was. But wow. And again, this is someone who only has ever seen clips of the show. Do I blame Mr. Big? I feel like to me, he's making it abundantly clear that he does not really fuck with her that much. Then again, he could be doing the whole push and pull thing. Like, he just, wants her around and wants her accessible, even though he doesn't actually care. But I guess they, end up getting married, which, I guess, spoiler, I don't know. If someone knocked on my door unannounced, right? First of all, I'm someone where if I need to have plans, I need time to mentally prepare to talk to people. It's like you knock on my door and you just come in. What if I wanted to be by myself? What if I don't want you here, right? And maybe that's hurtful, but I don't know. Carrie seems like there's something up with that lady. I'll try and think of what the title should be, but first I have to make a sad thumbnail. That's probably good enough. I hope you enjoyed today's yapping video. I know the people who really love them, and yeah, until next time. Oh wait, also real quick, okay, I'm saying this to hold myself a little bit accountable. For 2026, one of my goals was I want to make my own short film. I've acted in a lot of short films. I want to make something that I write, co-direct, and act in. Last night, I finished my first ever screenplay. It's the first screenplay that I've ever written to completion. And honestly, I am proud of myself. So I am saying that here, just, at the end of the video, because who knows how many people actually watch towards the end. So it's like, I'm holding myself accountable, but, not in a video that is probably going to get tons and tons of views. But yes, I'm just saying I wrote something. I want to put it on my YouTube channel. It's a passion project. I think it's hard as an actor. There's just not, as an Asian woman, there's not always just a ton of complex, cool roles for you that you feel excited about. And I think I'm just you know what? I'm gonna make something. I'm gonna do it myself. So yes. And also, if any of you work in, if any of you are in the film world, I'm gonna be doing probably a crew call and a casting call. But all right, that's it. I just wanted to say that, and now I'm really done. Now you've really done it. Oh my God, did you just hear my stomach growl? Anyways, all right, until next time.